We're in.
Welcome back, everybody, to the first episode of Wide Right, formerly the Ethan Hutton Sports Show. Back at you with yours truly, Ethan Hutton, and
Silas Jackson.
And after about an hour and a half of not knowing how to use our equipment that we paid a lot of money for, we're kind of winging it. We're talking into one microphone. This is about as low bar as you can get.
I hope all 14 of you can forgive us.
This episode's got at least 30. This is we're coming at you with some NFL playoff recap before we get into a little college ball, and then we'll hit the hardwood before we dive into our inaugural GOATs of the week. So starting it off on the gridiron. We were talking about the Steelers' beat down at the hands of Baltimore and how much Trent Jordan Watt sucks at football.
Yeah, I mean, to say he sucks is not an exaggeration. He's the only premier pass rusher who the opposing teams can just get by without consistent double teams, man. He just disappears. And I think you had said it earlier, 160 snaps without a stat.
Even once, 2 missed tackles. That was his stat line.
Well, that's better than nothing.
I don't think it is.
I don't know, man. He's on the field for like 85% of plays. He's supposed to be this game-breaking player.
He was not game-breaking.
He was.
No. Game-breaking in the wrong way. The Steelers just got beat down, man. It was just like against Buffalo. Fucking last year, we just got beat down. We look like the worst team in the playoffs again. The second half was so misleading that they knew they already won the game. Baltimore was playing. They were thinking about the divisional round, and we got gashed time and time again. We couldn't stop the run. We just suck, and it's so disheartening.
I just don't understand how that was their game plan going in. How did they not prepare for the option, man?
They looked like the Cowboys up front. They were just getting pushed around.
And on offense.
Russ played a good second half.
Great. Can't wait to bring him back on a 2.5-year deal.
Yeah, that's enticing to think about.
So what do you think about Tomlin?
This is actually in the we're going to talk about the coaching situation.
Okay, so we'll get to that later.
But I will say I'm still Team Tomlin. I don't want Tomlin to go anywhere.
I don't want him to either. I know if he were to hit the market, there would be 25 to 28 teams wanting Tomlin.
Oh yeah, everyone would want him.
I do question a lot of his coaching decisions, though.
I do too. You can coach any coach's coaching decisions.
No, but
that's what we're in the business of doing. We're in the business of judging.
Yes, and our opinion is going to sway the Pittsburgh Steelers offense come the offseason.
Dude, I don't. The only change I want is Justin Fields to be the starting quarterback.
I want based on the Steelers' path, they might fulfill that wish for you.
And I was talking to my dad about this. And I don't know how hot of a take this is, but I referred to Big Artie Smith as, quote, a Super Bowl caliber offensive coordinator. I don't think that's a stretch.
Hot doesn't begin to describe it.
Dude, I don't think that's that bad.
It's terrible. He's fucking horrible, Ethan.
I think he was responsible for a lot of Pittsburgh's shift this year. They were good for the first 13 weeks of the season.
Oh my god, man! They were playing fucking dog shit teams, man.
They were like 3-0 against playoff teams through the first games.
They had their annual Lamar shit fest.
Oh, whatever.
They played the Bengals defense, and then they played the Commanders defense.
The Commanders defense is good. The Commanders defense just led a playoff win. Look, I'm not. All right, like there's changes need to come.
It needs to come at the OC position.
Shut up. Who are they gonna get?
Anybody but him.
All right, man. I don't even want to talk about this anymore.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to another team that needs an OC: the Chargers and the Texans. Both of them, in my opinion, need new OCs.
The Texans just dog walked the Chargers. Justin Herbert threw 1 billion pick sixes. He couldn't complete a pass to a white jersey except to Lad McConkey in garbage time. Houston's offense didn't even play that good.
No, I was going to say...
Joe Mixon played pretty good.
I didn't think Mixon played that good at all.
They gave him the ball 23 times. He picked up 3.8 yards per carry, man. It's playoff football. They're grinding out wins.
It's going to be playoff football next week when they play the Chiefs and they run on first and second down every series and they lose by 20. Or sorry, lose by 7, but it'll feel like 20.
Yeah, it will feel like 20. I was pretty disappointed in how the Chargers went out sorry. I thought Harbaugh, I don't know. I mean, Herbert didn't play well. No part of LA's offense played well. The Chargers are a team who need a lot. They're entering the offseason with bleak hopes.
I disagree.
What do you like about the Chargers?
I like their quarterback. I like their bookend tackles. I like their defense. I like the receiver move they made this offseason. I like their coach. I like their defensive coordinator. They need a new OC. They need a weapon. They need interior O-line.
Who's their weapon?
Who do they get?
Yeah, who do you like the Chargers to get?
I mean, I'd like them to try and take a shot at like a Buka.
Okay.
Or maybe Burden.
Free agency, you think they're...
There's just not really that many names, and I think Higgins is re-signing.
You're like firm on that? You think?
I think he is. I mean, I don't know.
We'll talk about that later too.
I don't know why he would.
We have a pretty
other
long
than just
show ahead
a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, he wants that though.
He does, but I mean, he's already playing with a top 4 quarterback. He's already in a top 3 offense.
Yeah.
In a fan base that would hate to see him leave. So
they would hate to see him leave. Moving on. Do you have anything else on that game?
No, I would just I guess we'll get into the matchups.
Yeah,
I'll save that because I do have more thoughts on the Texans. But.
All right, cool deal. Moving on, the Eagles somehow only beat the Packers by 10. It felt like a million. Every time an Eagles player laid a tackle, a Packers player was getting carted off.
Yeah, it was unfortunate for the Packers. And Love played bad from cover to cover. But at a certain point, an offense in the playoffs that decimated, you just can't field it.
Shout out to Josh Jacobs.
Yeah,
Josh Jacobs
really
played his ass off. He was the only reason the Packers found the end zone. That was a beast Quake-esque run. I was impressed. I was not, however, impressed with the rest of the Packers.
No, their defense. Their defense played good.
Their defense played pretty well.
They stepped up after the first. They fumbled on the kickoff, and then Hurts held the ball for like 6 seconds, and they scored. And I just knew it was over.
They just kept getting gashed.
Well, and the defense played good.
Yeah.
They held strong after that, and it just comes down to Love. He
stunk.
Yes, he was terrible.
In a matter of speaking.
But I think if I were the Packers, I'm still happy to have Jordan Love as my quarterback going forward.
I'm not.
I feel the same way about Love as I do about Herbert. Yes, he stunk it up. He played really, really bad. I think Love played worse than Herbert.
Yeah.
And
I would agree.
For both of them, I don't think that either...
The party's not over for either of them.
No, they're both really young and they're both really talented.
Yeah,
and I don't think my opinion on either of them being top 10 guys changes after even a horrific playoff bout.
I'd have to agree. Both underwent pretty tough matchups. The Texans certainly weren't the Texans this year, but if this is the floor for the Texans, I think it's safe to say they're going to be competing for the next 8 years.
Oh, they're going to be good.
Stroud's entire career.
They have the combination of coach, quarterback, defense.
Yeah.
And Collins is not a fake receiver.
No,
he's really,
not by
really
any
good.
Means.
It sucks. Their O-line is so bad, and their receiving core is so decimated, which was supposed to be their biggest strength. So It just sort of seems like about week 10 this year, the jury had already decided that the Texans were just not going to win it. But their defense, when Anderson and Hunter are both on the field, is the best in the league. Mm-hmm. And Stingley is an all-pro corner for a reason. I really like Petrie. I just like their whole defense.
Shout out Kamari Lassiter, too.
Yes. There's
Fourth-round pick out of Georgia.
Yeah. Anyway,
Stud.
Not even talking about that game. But I don't know. I think for the Packers, I've got some serious concerns about LaFleur.
Okay. I can understand that.
He is really good at the best aspect, the most important aspect of coaching, and that is play calling. Mm-hmm. He's a really, really good play caller. But week after week, year after year, the Packers come out in big games undisciplined. Ever since he started his tenure there, I mean, there's always just stupid penalties, stupid special teams moments. I feel like every time I watch a primetime Packers game, there is an unsportsmanlike conduct in a crucial part of the game that all but seals it for them. Mm-hmm. I mean, last year...
this wasn't an unwinnable game for them either.
No,
let's be perfectly clear.
And despite... You're right that the score... does not tell the story of how
it certainly doesn't.
Much of a blowout that this was.
But this game was never, especially for a Packers team, a 2-possession lead for the Packers. That they can strike in the blink of an eye, and this was by no means like a David versus. This was. No. I mean, it wasn't an even matchup. No, of course not.
And especially, I mean, they're the most explosive offense in the NFL with Watson on the field. Yeah. They're missing him. They lose Reed. They lose Dobbs, and now you're staring down Dontavian Wicks as your number 1 and Malik Heath as your number 2, and you've got Bo Melton playing meaningful reps in the fourth quarter. That's when it becomes you just can't bridge that gap. Even if Love was playing really good against a really good Eagles defense, that setup is just never going to get it done.
It's not,
and it didn't.
No, certainly did not. Moving over to the Commanders-Bucks game, a game that I thought Tampa Bay was going to win. They looked like they were going to win. Jaden Daniels is the truth.
He is. He's very good.
Tell me about what you think.
I think that they did everything right that the Steelers did wrong. I loved Quinn's game plan. Even though he didn't execute it perfectly at all times, he came out and was aggressive consistently. They went 4 and out twice in the red zone. Not good. But that's an execution problem, not a game plan problem. And I think if they come out like this next week against the Lions, I guess we'll get into this later, but I think that they're going to give the Lions a game. And their rushing offense is terrible in terms of their O-line isn't good, and Brian Robinson really is not anything special. But it cannot be overstated how much Jaden Daniels rushing is a superpower, because
Jaden Daniels he's a unicorn.
He's very, very good, and the Bucks had 1 sack for 0 yards in this game, and Daniels they had like 30 carries for 60 yards as a team, but the amount of 2-yard runs that Daniels had that could have been 8-yard sacks and drive killers, it's massive, and they didn't punt the entire game.
I mean, obviously, yeah, that's. When you're not punting, keeping that guy off the field.
And I think, it was a good game. Obviously, they didn't by any stretch put it to the Bucks.
Yeah.
But the Bucks are also a good team, and they held up where they were weakest, which is their run defense. Mm-hmm. I think Quinn coached a good game from. Okay.
Shout out to Dan Quinn.
But
I love Dan Quinn.
No, you called it. He's okay.
All right, moving out west.
Sorry, can I just say something else?
Yeah. Final words on the Commanders-Bucks game.
I was pleased with Baker's performance.
Baker's the truth too.
He's good. He's played really good. Outside that fumble, which was completely his fault.
Oh, yeah.
That was just like a genuinely bad play. I think Baker balled out, and Bucky is really, really good. And Mike Evans, I think, probably still has it for a couple more years.
They're brewing in Tampa Bay.
I think
Tampa Bay
I
going
think
forward.
I mean I'll give a really really early next year prediction. I think they're just going to win the division again.
Okay. I don't hate that.
I mean I think it's the boring pick. I think people would like the Falcons to win more.
Who doesn't want the Falcons to win?
A lot of people. Anybody who knows you wants the Falcons to lose. But anyway, move out west, please.
The Los Angeles Rams absolutely obliterated the Vikings, and then J.J. McCarthy mocked them for it on social media, tweeting some fancy French shit. I don't really know what he tweeted, but they just absolutely demolished the Vikings. They had 9 sacks on Darnold.
And I don't know the pressure numbers, but I know the pressure to sack rate was not good.
Yeah. A lot of people like to point the finger at Darnold for this one. It's a culmination, and on that list I would put Darnold at about 3 or 4. LA's defense is budding. Jared Verse, he's breaking out. Their whole young front
their whole
is
D-line
breaking out.
is really really good.
They're emerging. I was impressed by the Rams. I was really impressed.
What were 1 and 2? Who you'd fault for the Vikings loss because Darnold was 3?
Well, their defense, obviously. I mean, Stafford. They let up a really balanced attack. They let the Rams be methodical. The Rams had 80 rushing yards as a team, but Kyron Williams had 76 of them on not that many carries. Mm-hmm. And obviously you can fault their offensive line, who just were like matadors. They didn't. Yeah. I don't know whose sister Sam Darnold is dating, but he pissed someone off.
I don't know if I agree with you on the defense. It was 10-3 at halftime.
You're right. You're right.
10-3 at halftime, and they let up.
I'm low on the Rams. Let's preface.
You're low on the Rams.
Low on the Rams. And I thought this was going to be. I didn't think it was going to be a comfortable Minnesota win, but I thought it was going to be by a possession.
So what don't you like about the Rams going forward then?
The fact that they just throughout the year they have the most glaring weaknesses to me of any team in the playoff. Their trouble, I guess some of their defensive troubles or their concerns, I guess you could say, kind of got cleared up in this game. But I mean, Minnesota was going to lose. They were going to lose like this. Minnesota's a brand new team. Minnesota was what Pittsburgh was going to be going into Week 13. I guess the Rams are they're peaking at the right time.
I mean, what do you think? Maybe they do have a lot of glaring holes. Their O-line also is not good. There are parts of their defense, though it is good as a unit, there are really some bad holes in their defense. Mm-hmm. But they have some of the best players at the most important positions in the entire playoffs.
I'll put it to you like this. I've been thinking a lot about getting into the playoff matchups. I've been looking at the Eagles-Rams matchup a lot, and I don't see the Rams giving the Eagles a game.
I disagree.
Really? Mm-hmm. I think I see the Eagles-Rams game going exactly how the Packers-Eagles game went. I think Philadelphia is just going to make them play their game, and I don't think their defense isn't going to replicate that against the best offensive line in football.
No, it's not, and the Eagles' defense is also better than the.
And I don't buy LA's defensive front against Philadelphia's rushing attack.
No, we saw it earlier in the year, and Saquon went for 200.
I just think he's going to do that again.
I could see that completely. My concern is Hurts is playing his worst football right now.
That's true.
And though their defense might not be, though they may not be able to go toe-to-toe for the Eagles, if there is a point in this game where Hurts has to drop back and pass, I think they will fail.
Okay.
And I think Stafford is a good bet against any defensive scheme. I think Nakua and Kupp are good bets against any sets of defenders. And I mean, Kyron's okay. I don't think Kyron's anything crazy. No. Hello? Okay, we're back. All this to say, I also think the Eagles are going to win, but I do think it's going to be a good game because I think Stafford sets you a certain floor in the playoffs, and I think McVay sets you a certain floor in the playoffs. I like McVay over Kellen Moore, and I like Stafford infinitely more than Jalen Hurts.
I buy that, especially playoff Stafford.
Yeah, and I mean,
Stafford's.
I'm not going to act like I think Hurts is like a bottom half quarterback in the league because
No,
he's not. He's solid, but he's got some really.
He's like
got
14.
He's got some really
around.
bad problems that are not getting better at the right times.
Okay.
I mean, he played bad against the Packers.
Yeah.
The Packers defense had a good game, but he played really, really bad. And that's what I have to say. I do think the Eagles are going to come out with it, but after this game against the Packers, I am very concerned about the Eagles' Super Bowl hopes.
Wow. Okay. I didn't think about that. I wasn't too. I mean, to me, I don't think the Eagles are where Detroit or even Kansas City or Buffalo or Baltimore is, but I viewed them like I thought they could get there.
See, I disagree. I think they're right there with them, and I think probably talent-wise,
I think they're there talent-wise. I think Hurts kind of...
Yeah, position by position, they're the most talented team in the NFL.
Yeah.
But the problem is all of these teams, they either have a better quarterback straight up, or they have an offense better catered to the quarterback that they have, which is Detroit.
Okay, so give me your score
of this one.
Yeah,
I would say honestly, it probably does look somewhat similar to the Packers game, but I just think that it's gonna be actually close rather than fake close.
Right.
I think probably somewhere in the range of like 24-17, maybe 27-20.
Okay.
I think they'll win by one score.
I'll go 24-21.
Yeah, I think.
Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I just think Stafford really makes the Rams dangerous in any game. I think they could. I think they very well could win and then beat whoever's in the championship.
Definitely could. They're just one of those teams. They could win any given week. Moving back east to my game of the week. Before we get into this one, though, tell me your game of the week.
I mean, it's got to be Ravens Bills.
All right, we're on the same page.
I mean, there's no.
That's going to be a fun one.
There's
to watch.
no other game.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
There's some other really good ones that I'm excited about, but that one is, I mean, probably your two of the three hottest teams.
Yeah, those are the Goliaths clashing. I'm excited for that one.
I just so go ahead and get into it, and you give me your pick and your reasoning.
The tail of the tape. I haven't been high on Buffalo all year. I picked them as the most likely team to go from first to worst in their division. Infamously, they did not. Instead, they had an even better year than when they had all their weapons last year. And I looked like a damn fool. I don't think anyone can stop Derrick Henry. I don't think anyone can stop Lamar. Buffalo has a good defense. They're a little banged up. I'm not too concerned with their defense. I don't think, this is going to be one that Baltimore just handles. I'm not trying to put that out there either. Josh Allen's a special player. He plays special on special stages. He's elite, but I'm confident in Baltimore. They force turnovers. Josh Allen, even in that game against Denver, he put the ball into harm's way a few times. There was that one pass on the goal line. He barely overthrew it over Amari Cooper's head, and then there was the other one where he tried to force it to, I think it was Dawson Knox in the end zone. That one almost got picked off. I think Baltimore's defense is much more tailored to take the ball away in those positions. They're opportunistic. They tackle really well. I'll go I think this is going to be a relatively high-scoring one. I'm going to go 31-28 Baltimore. I think it's going to be a squeaker, pretty much like when they play Kansas City. I just think Lamar just gets over the hump. I just think this is the run for Lamar.
I can't really entirely disagree there. I think this is one of those games that is back and forth, and then a turnover seals it.
Whoever has the ball last.
Yeah, whoever has the ball last, and any lost possessions can be detrimental. I can't also ignore Lamar's pretty poor playoff history, but also he is the MVP, and I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with Lamar. I don't think he's a bad player, and I think he's not a bad player that just gets coasts through the regular season. He just hasn't been a riser. He hasn't played good in the playoffs, and it's the same thing with Herbert. I don't think Herbert's bad playoff performances make him a bad quarterback. Lamar's coming off of his best playoff performance in a big game for him.
That's true.
I also think McDermott is smarter than Tomlin defensively.
I would agree with that.
And I wonder how they will respond. They beat the Bills handedly early this year, week 4. And they beat the Bills on the back of Derrick Henry.
That was the game. Was that the game Matt Milano got hurt?
I think Matt Milano was already hurt at that point. But they gashed them with Derrick Henry badly.
Yeah. It was 35-10, I think.
But still, when the Ravens can't just press read option and get 8 yards, what's their offense going to look like? Because they didn't do anything through the air against Pittsburgh because they didn't have to. They ran the ball 50 times. And Buffalo's run defense is hardly the gold standard in the league. Maybe they can try and replicate that. I just worry that if the Bills get rolling, and Josh Allen is a playoff riser, he is a playoff winner. He always performs well in the playoffs.
He does do that.
And I worry he can get off to a really hot start at home in the cold, and Lamar maybe starts to stumble a little bit. He starts to feel the pressure. But all that being said, I'm also going to take the Ravens.
Yes.
And mostly I am assured by that because I want them to lose so badly. So I know whoever I'm rooting against is losing. So, whoever I'm rooting against is winning.
Right.
But yeah, I think Baltimore, same theory as you. Close game. I think their defense can maybe not even a lucky turnover, just a turnover on Allen, and that maybe just decides it.
I just think, for me, Baltimore never had Derrick Henry to fall back on. Like you said, they didn't even have to throw the rock if they didn't want to against Pittsburgh. They could have ran the ball 100 times and won.
They did. They ran the ball 50 times. They averaged 6 yards a carry.
Yep.
It was terrible.
Then again, I agree. McDermott's going to draw up a better scheme than probably Tomlin would. Now, Derrick Henry's just probably this year more than any other year in his career, he's a home run hitter. He hasn't had to play too many games where he's had to grind it out, but I think that's kind of a secret formula for him. He can grind it out.
Yeah, he can.
And I think if any team is going to grind Buffalo out in a true playoff fashion, it would probably, for me, have to be Baltimore.
I will say Baltimore's run defense not good. Buffalo averaged 6 yards a carry last week against the Broncos. They lined up and played.
Buffalo's definitely capable of that. I can't act like they're.
I think that people seeing Josh Allen cannon arm on the field makes people forget how good Joe Brady's run offense really is. James Cook is really good.
He is.
And Ty Johnson is good. And Ray Davis is also good. They have a really good trio of backs, and Cook at the forefront of that. And I think that could also be a downfall for the Ravens. Maybe Allen doesn't have to go be a superhero. Maybe he can just hand the ball off, and they can really get something going there.
This is really just one that could just flip flop either way. It's going to be a good one. Obviously, why it's our pick for game of the week. Chiefs Texans. I don't really feel like we have to talk too much about that one.
I'd like to say I have a little bit more to say about the Texans.
Okay, yeah. Keep it going.
I think Stroud played genuinely one of the best halves of football that he's played this year against the Chargers. The second half, he played really well, and that came playing in structure, getting the ball out fast to Nico Collins on end breakers, and Collins is unbelievably good. Mm-hmm. And the Texans, I know they got kind of stomped by the Chiefs early this year.
Yeah.
But they're the kind of defense that could really give Kansas City trouble. I mean, the Chargers have two really good bookend tackles, and they got decimated.
Yeah.
The Chiefs don't. They don't have one good
No.
bookend tackle. They're both bad.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs are not an explosive offense.
No,
they're very much a early down success.
I mean,
grind it out.
No one's made them. They've been playing playoff football since October.
Yeah, no, and nobody's under any illusions about that, of course.
No, absolutely.
But I'm just trying to highlight that Mahomes has 11 picks on the year. Especially early in the year, he's reined it in pretty impressively. Late in the season, he hasn't made hardly any mistakes. But I mean, he threw 2 picks against the Raiders early this year, and I think the Texans. I mean, you try and play that kind of game against that kind of defense. That's what the Chargers tried to do, and they failed miserably because the Texans did not let them have that early down success, and they did not let anything fly anywhere on the field.
They did.
And granted, Mahomes is a much better creator than Herbert is. But the Chiefs' receivers are probably worse. I mean, they have Kelsey, but
they lack depth. I think the thing for me is that I've just never ever seen Patrick Mahomes play bad in the playoffs.
No. I mean, all of this to say
until I see that, I can't really this isn't to discredit anything. Houston's a damn good football team.
No, yeah. I'm saying all of this to say that it's probably going to be closer than the general consensus might think it will be. I don't think it's just a free ballot to the championship game for the Chiefs. I do think it's a big discount though on the clearance rack to the to the championship game. It's just the Texans can still burn you. Stroud is still a really good quarterback. They still have, like I was saying earlier, they have the formula. Of winning in the playoffs. But I think that this one is, all that said, pretty easily Chiefs.
Well, let's hear your score.
I would say, and it's probably pretty low scoring again. I would say maybe 24-10.
Okay.
Maybe 28-14, something like that.
Okay.
I think it's just going to be a slugfest.
I'm going to go 27-17 Kansas City. It's just going to be one of those games.
Yeah.
I just think they're going to control the ball.
I agree. I don't think the Texans, though they may be built to sustain long drives, they don't.
Exactly.
And their O-line is so bad, and they are very, very committed to early down running, and it never works. And then they're in 3rd and long, and Stroud he feels maybe forced more than he is to go make a superhero play, and then he makes a mistake, and then you're out of the game because the Chiefs are going to go on an 8-minute drive and go 40 yards and score a touchdown.
I mean, they've just been moving the ball. Their offense has by no means been breathtaking. It's probably looked the worst since Patrick Mahomes has been there.
I think their offense is better than their offense last year. This year,
it's comparable.
Yeah,
but they're both on that same level. But they were 15-1.
Yeah,
I mean every game they played in was a playoff game. They sustained long drives in every game. They picked up that necessary 3rd down every time they had to.
I think there is something to be said. I hate to be this guy. The Chiefs did get lucky this year a lot of times in these one-score games. I mean, missed field goals, them doinking field goals in, some penalties that are questionable. I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm just saying any team that wins that amount of one-score games in a season, they're getting lucky in a lot of them. And, I mean, just like, damn, like you're saying, every game was a one-score game almost for the Chiefs. And I think they're going to win, so let's move on to a more interesting game.
Okay. Well, I don't know if this is more interesting. It depends on how you look at it. The Commanders travel into Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Detroit is just the most complete team, I guess you could say. I don't know if you'd agree with that.
I don't agree, but they're maybe not the most complete, but they're the most cohesive.
Yeah, that's a much better word. I like that word. The Lions have felt very sustainable.
Mm-hmm. And they've done it with being severely injured on defense, and their defense has sustained really good production.
Mm-hmm. And they play next man up. Mm-hmm. They have everything on offense. They have speed. They have power. They have the medium of that. They can do just about anything on offense. I can't bet against them.
No, I'm not by any stretch going to bet against them here. I really don't think that the Commanders' defense is going to stop them in the slightest.
Yeah, I can't.
I mean, everything that they do is like the antithesis of the Commanders' strengths. I'm talking about offensively. I think that the Commanders' offense is gonna do okay against the Lions' defense. The only trouble is they've been running a lot of man late in the year, and Terry is really their only weapon on the outside. And not saying that. I mean, Terry's really, really good. Not saying they will lock him up. Just saying they played man on Jefferson and Addison, and they shut that offense down. Now, I think Daniels is better than Darnold. If McLaurin's open in the end zone, I don't think Daniels is missing him.
No.
And I don't think Daniels is going to take 7 sacks. But the Commanders are also a worse team than the Vikings are, top to bottom, talent-wise. Mm-hmm. I think that they're going to make it fun.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun game.
They're going to score. Daniels, I think, is gonna ball out. I don't think that they're going to win. I think it'd be one of the bigger upsets in recent history if they were to win this game.
Absolutely.
So I would say Lions, and probably even maybe by 2 scores. But I think
I can't.
It's gonna look a lot like the Heineke game, probably. Yeah. That's like, dang, this is a really fun game. Except the only difference is the Commanders actually have a future now. So it's like you're not just like having fun for one game. You're looking out at the future and saying, damn, the Commanders finally are looking good. So yeah, I would say Lions. I don't know what I don't have a score prediction, but I'd say probably
31-17.
I'll say Lions by 10.
Okay, I like that. I'll stick to 31-17. Yep. Somewhere in that realm. So we've covered just about everything there is to cover on the field. Covering over to the news side of things, the coach carousel is officially in swing.
It is.
We've already had our first hiring and our first firing. It's not really a firing, but Vrabel is going to New England. Mike McCarthy is out in Dallas. Tell me what you think about the Vrabel signing, and then we'll move over to the Dallas situation.
I like it, honestly.
It's a good hire.
It's a good hire. I think that they should have just done that shit last year.
They didn't. They didn't. Yeah.
I know. I know. There's more nuance to it than that. I do think that it's true that it was really messy the way that they dealt with the Mayo situation. The same way it was messy the way the Raiders dealt with Pierce. You can't. I understand that both of those coaches. I agree, not the long-term option. Also, it's not fair to hand a first-time head coach a dog shit roster and then fire them after.
In either situation. In Las Vegas or in New England.
Yeah, it's not fair, and it kind of, I think, puts a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. They're not nearly as excited for Vrabel as they would have been if they just straight up got him last year. But I think people are also underrating how many bad Titans teams this dude took to the playoffs. I mean, he took a horrible Titans team to the 1 seed.
He's a football knower.
He's good. Sure. He's really good. His last couple of years in Tennessee, he had kind of waned off the train a little bit, but I feel like management kind of boned him a little. I mean, they traded A.J. Brown away from him. I mean, they just weren't. At some point, the talent's going to come back. But if I were a Patriots fan, you have a young quarterback, some defensive talent, and now you have your coach and you have a top 5 pick. I'd be pretty
gotta round it out.
I'd be pretty excited for the coming years if I were a Patriots fan. I like the hire.
All right.
And for McCarthy, I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck about the Cowboys. It's good for the Cowboys. I mean, I don't know. Depending on who they hire, it's bad for America. But whatever. It doesn't matter to me in the slightest what the Cowboys do.
All right. So I like the Vrabel hire. I'm a big fan of the big Vrabel guy, former Buckeye. This isn't the fucking NBA. Don't hire a coach just to fire him after a year. Neither team's in a position to win. The Raiders are like Al Davis is like, what? No playoffs? Yeah. You got a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah.
Firing Antonio Pierce was stupid.
I don't know if it was stupid, but it was messy.
To me, no other guy that the Raiders are going to bring in. The Raiders they're not an attractive job by any means.
No, not really.
No one's going to have everyone bought in. To me, Max Crosby, this might check Max Crosby out. He might.
It might. I also think, I mean, Pierce can get the guys fired up, right?
It depends on who you bring in, I guess. But to me, the Raiders just aren't in a position to get anyone that would present an immediate upgrade over AP.
I mean, I think that there's serious questions with how good he is as an in-game coach. His clock management was really, really horrible this year.
Right.
I mean, and then just decision-making in general down the field. I mean, just bad. Just bad. Clock management, and
no one can refute that.
I mean, I just don't think he's got what it takes to be a long-term NFL coach. And for that reason, I don't think he's the Raiders franchise coach.
Okay.
I mean, I would even say, I could get on board with they shouldn't have fired him this year, but I don't think they should sacrifice a possible better coach for Antonio Pierce. Because, maybe he is the guy that can get dudes inspired, but he's not the guy who's going to win you a bunch of football games. And it's getting guys fired up is all well and good, but he's not actually coaching the team to go out there and win. And when this is a good coaching carousel right now in the NFL. There's some good candidates.
This is a good crop.
And I'd hate to be stuck as the Raiders owner, as a Raiders fan. I'd hate to see all these good coaches be going all around me and then be stuck with Antonio Pierce for another year.
Right. So we were gonna keep this with the college news, but we're already talking about the coaches. Dion has already been linked to both the Cowboys and the Raiders job. Yep. The Raiders said they're not going to get him. Jerry Jones just talked with him today about being the Cowboys head coach today or yesterday. Do you like Prime in the league?
No.
Okay.
I think he can. I mean, he is a successful college coach. I think his method of coaching gets college players fired up.
Oh yeah.
I question how much the immense media spotlight, the immense, for lack of a better word, bedazzling a program. I question how much that can get an NFL locker room inspired.
I can agree with that, especially a team like the Cowboys.
And I also think Dion is a kind of guy that a lot of times his game plans are lacking, man. Colorado, all the shine, all the spotlight. So much media attention. You go out on the field, you lose to Nebraska by 25. You almost lose to NDSU week 1.
Mm-hmm. You do lose to BYU, who you were supposed to.
And you get demolished when all of your starters are playing in a bowl game. Mm-hmm. All of that media get all your starters playing.
His first bowl game.
You get shit on. And I don't think. I think he's a good college coach. I think he's obviously turned Colorado around, but I just don't think he's going to be successful in the league if he comes.
I'm a Dion lover. I love Colorado. I think the brand is sweet. I think Dion's sweet. I think him around college football is sweet. I think he's probably the only guy that the Cowboys could bring in that wouldn't just be a yes man for Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
I think
disagree with that.
I think he's the only guy prominent enough, I guess you could say, that could be able to work with Jerry Jones. But that's not, to me, that's not a reason to bring him to Dallas. That's just a reason to get Jerry Jones out of Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I say no. I don't like him.
I don't like him for either job. I like him in Colorado. He's got a really good transfer class.
I don't think
in.
he should leave. I don't think he will leave.
So we'll stick with college here. We'll move over to the college football playoff reaction, starting it off with Ohio State, who just again looked fantastic, beat Texas 28-14. What'd you think about that game?
First time Ohio State has come out and beat a really, really good team since 2014.
Wow. Okay.
On a big stage. I mean,
what about Clemson? You don't think?
Yeah, you're right. You're right about Clemson. But I mean, this is a little different, man.
It feels real.
They are the best team in the playoff, and not to say that they beat Texas with all handedly at all.
No. It took some plays.
I had concerns about Will Howard going in, and those were sort of realized. Mm-hmm. But also, I don't think he played a bad game. I just think a lot of his inconsistencies showed.
It's just who a guy like Will Howard. It's who a college quarterback is. Will Howard's a college quarterback.
But Ohio State did the right thing. Is you see Howard make some mistakes, and you just keep putting the ball in his hands, and he did them right by that. And I liked that they kept doing that, because against Michigan they didn't do that, and they took the ball out of his hands and they lost. I think, their defense is just so good.
They're
probably the only. That 1 year for Georgia, I think 22, was the only other year where I could look at a defense and say there's a place for every single starter in the NFL.
They're in rare territory. This is a rare team. This is the best Ohio State team I've ever watched in my life. Even with the urban teams, they move the ball. They can pick up a third down if they need it. This is by far the most talented defense I've ever seen. They fly around the field. Jim Knowles, special shout out to Jim Knowles. If he ever needs a place to crash, he can stay at my house. Jim Knowles is sweet. He's their savior. Like you said, they're just the best team in the tournament. Obviously, they're moving on to play Notre Dame, who defeated Penn State.
Yes,
27-24. Drew Aller stinks.
I think this game is good for him.
This game is good for Drew Aller?
Because he's not going to go to the league now.
We're going to talk about this. Yeah, he already came back. We're going to talk about this. Penn State's bringing everybody back.
Yeah, they are. I'll talk about Aller because I said last week that I like him better than Shedeur and Ward should he come out. Perhaps jump the gun.
That's a light way to put it.
I missed badly. I missed. I perhaps didn't jump the gun. I buried it. But there are things about Aller, obviously, that I really like.
Drew Aller has some tools.
He's really good. His footwork is pretty consistent, and there are reps where he's doing everything absolutely perfectly. But he's also a second-year starter. And he took really big strides, I think, from this year when you look at his freshman year. And I think
he's growing up.
And I think he could make a similar stride from next year. Or to next year from this year. And I think it's good that he's going. I don't think not even like Drew Aller the player, Drew Aller the person. Like, you don't want to be a high draft pick for a shitty team when you're not ready. Rather go back to contender Penn State where you are the surefire starter and try it again.
He's going to make some ducats, too. Let's not forget.
Yeah,
college kids are making some dough.
He is. And I think Penn State, generally, like James Franklin's he's just not a big game coach. And that whole game from both sides was a complete shit fest. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Both teams tried.
Riley Leonard stinks, too. Let's just put that out there. Riley Leonard stinks way worse than Drew Aller
he's not good at all. His mom is right. He sucks. And the difference is who Notre Dame has on the sideline is a really good coach.
Marcus Freeman's legit.
He's really, really good. And Notre Dame's defense is also really legit, too. And then, I mean, their love is so good. I love it when I'm watching, like he said, I'm not hurtling. My knees hurt, and then he hurdles like 3 times. I like seeing something that I do in like NCAA or Madden, like on the field. It's like, oh, that was stupid, but okay.
Not like Najee. Not like when Najee Harris just
Yeah.
jumps over a person just to do it.
No, but I don't think I'm not completely out on Notre Dame in the championship. I think
I'm biased. I am.
No, I mean I'm gonna say
I'm completely biased.
I think that Ohio State is gonna win, and they should be heavy favorites.
8 points.
And I think that they'll cover it. Honestly,
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, I foresee that.
I just don't. Notre Dame's defense is too good to write off. It's really, really good. And Leonard blows. I mean, I think
We touched on that.
He's going to cope with the pressure Ohio State puts on him even worse than Ewers. Even worse than Gabriel. And, I mean, because he's not as good as either of those guys.
Well, there are some things working in against Notre Dame's favor, working in Ohio State's favor.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame's down their freshman All-American offensive tackle. That's a big-time starter, especially with how dominant Ohio State's front has been. They've been pressuring everybody. And I don't know if he interviewed. I think Chicago requested to interview Marcus Freeman. Is that right?
Yes.
That always hurts, man.
I wouldn't go if I was Marcus Freeman. I mean, why would you go? You've got Notre Dame on the rise. You're going to make millions of dollars. Everybody loves you. And
you don't like him to Chicago?
No, mostly because I think it makes zero sense for Marcus Freeman to go. Like, if I was him, there was no way I would leave Notre Dame to go to the Bears.
With the coaching carousel that's going to be around, it almost just feels like you just can't pull up a college coach.
No,
especially someone like Marcus Freeman.
Marcus Freeman's
is very
in the national championship.
Yeah, this is like his 4th year.
Yeah,
he's building a program.
And
it's
Notre Dame.
Marcus Freeman.
When's the last time Notre Dame won a big game?
Notre Dame. This is their first time making the national championship since 2012, and they lost by like 6 scores to Alabama.
Yeah,
they got boat raced by Alabama. I think A.J. McCarron was.
They haven't won a title in forever. And, I mean, what is it, like the early 90s was the last time they won something like this?
I think it was 83 was their last national champ. Something, it's been a while. But, I mean, they're a blue blood.
They are, but they're a Penn State.
Yeah, they are a Penn State. But they broke through. Marcus Freeman got them.
That's what I'm saying, is why would you leave now when you've already done it? You finally actually are a championship contender. I mean, you're in the game. I mean, if I was Chicago, I'd probably like it. But I don't think he's going to like it. I don't think he's going to go.
So going forward, obviously Notre Dame they're going to lose a lot. They're pretty old. Ohio State obviously is going to lose a lot. What team? I feel like I can probably answer the question to this, but what team do you feel is more sustainable going forward? And what is each team's ceiling next year?
I mean, Ohio State's ceiling is as high as it could be next year.
They've just got people everywhere.
I mean, they
got studs.
They've got people behind everywhere as well. I mean, as in to say depth.
Yes.
I mean, you've got 2 more years of Jeremiah Smith. I mean, I've seen people say if you could pick Jeremiah Smith this year, you'd take him even if you had to wait 2 years to play him.
Everyone's saying he'd go number 1.
I mean,
Everyone.
he's so good, and he might just be better than Marvin Harrison Jr. already.
He's just so
and
crazy.
he's the kind of player that you could put Kyle McCord on the team and they could make a run.
See, Kyle McCord to me was. I don't know what was wrong with Kyle McCord. The lights were too bright in Columbus, I guess. Kyle McCord's a gamer.
It's never been said before.
What,
the lights are too bright in Columbus? Yeah, it's gray. It's only gray in Columbus.
All right. So we got all the natty talk out of the way. We have some college football news. Carson Beck. Everyone thought he was going to the NFL. He was projected to go to Carolina, number one. Everyone was saying trade Bryce Young for Carson Beck.
Okay, but that aged poorly, obviously.
That aged about as well as untreated milk.
Yes, it did.
That was horrible.
Because
Carson Beck stinks. I don't even think he's going to be good in Miami. I think Carson Beck...
I think he's got a chance to do pretty good in Miami. I mean...
Everyone's saying he's going to be better than Cam Ward. You think he's going to be better than Cam Ward?
I reckon it'll probably be comparable.
Comparable?
I don't know if he's... I just don't think Beck is like an electric player like Cam Ward is. And I'm obviously not the highest on Cam Ward.
His stud girlfriend goes to Miami. Did you see that?
Who's Carson Beck?
Carson Beck's girlfriend plays.
Yeah, that's why he went.
College. Yeah, but she's like a dog, and he's not.
No, he sucks.
But she's like first team All ACC. Like she might go to the WNBA.
Yeah, so she can make whatever. We're not going to say that. Doesn't matter. That's not the hardwood we're talking about.
The WNBA has been the sole cause of the NBA's decline this year. Let's just say that. The NBA's on the come up. NBA ratings are down, and it's because of the WNBA.
It's possible.
WNBA ratings were up 500% this year.
So, I mean, the leap from 0 to 1 is massive.
Oh my god! All right, we could have saw that one coming. We already touched on the Penn State backfield returning. Penn State's returning everybody. I like Penn State. I don't like them to win the Big Ten, but I could definitely see a world where they're back in it next year.
Yeah, I think they're going to be.
They're probably going to come back to the playoff. Everyone's coming back. To me, time's got to be running out for James Franklin. Sorry about that, folks. A little more technical difficulties. Time's got to be running out for James Franklin. I mean, he's we're almost there.
Very good.
Technical difficulties once more. Maybe we should just skip talking about James Franklin.
I think, it was an omen. I think he's safe for a couple more years, honestly. I mean,
just one of these years. I mean, Penn State's been clawing, and now they're finally in. He bought himself some time.
It's the Tomlin dilemma again.
Leave me alone. I don't want to talk about Tomlin. That's hot. That's heavy on the heart right now.
How much does a playoff berth and in the college football world? How much does a playoff win buy you? For most teams, a lot of time.
For a team that's sustainable like Penn State is, I could see.
I don't think there's any reason to fire him.
I'm not saying not even next year, but if this with the expanded format, if this is a trend where James Franklin's just, I don't know, maybe I can't talk about firing coaches when I'm defending Mike Tomlin.
I mean, what are you talking about expanded format being a thing? Penn State was a higher seed than OSU. They didn't make it in because of the expanded format.
I know. No. Gotta go.
Right, we gotta stop talking about.
Yeah. No more James Franklin talk. All right. Technical difficulties once more. Did you hear about Kyron Lacey?
No. I mean, what now? I haven't heard about it.
LSU receiver Kyron Lacey was involved in a hit and run that resulted in the death of a 70-year-old ex-Marine. He fled the scene. Was detained a few days ago after he had a warrant issued for his arrest, posted his $151,000 bail, and faced, I think, 3 felony charges. This is a dude I liked. I liked him as a prospect. Sucks as a person.
Yeah, he's... Jesus.
That's
It's not good, man.
Do you think he knew he was he caused that?
Probably. I mean, he's had character problems before. This isn't the first time.
It just sucks.
Yeah,
His life is ruined. He's not going to get drafted.
I mean, the
Raiders might pick him.
I mean, let's not mince words here. It sucks for the people he harmed and killed, not for him. He deserves to be exactly where he is for the actions that he made.
Right. I didn't mean to insinuate otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Bummer for the draft prospect.
Yeah.
But, you know...
you can see in the notes in our script.
Yes.
Lacey is a bad person. Yes. I'm not a defender.
I also,
OJ did it, but he got away with it.
That's good. Good. Make sure to plug that. It's just a baseline of morality.
All right.
But yeah, no, it sucks.
It does. Tragedy. Fuck you, Kyron Lacey. We have a fun little topic that I added just because. Will Howard NFL landing spot.
Oh, I thought this was the GOAT.
No,
The GOAT of the week here.
We still have to go through this, and then we got our NBA
Okay.
wrap up.
All right.
and
All
then
right. Will Howard landing spots. It's the Steelers and only the Steelers. Because that's the only team that would be able. That's the only team that would pick him.
Will Howard's not going to be a starter. Will Howard's just funny. He stomped out the Blizzy. Will Howard's sick.
No, I mean he's not going to be
Will
a
Howard's
starter.
putting white boys back on the map.
He's going to be a day 3 pick. I kind of like him for any backup spot in the league.
So I guess that's all we're getting out of my Will Howard landing spots bid.
Yeah, man. Unless Cleveland wants to start him, keep him in Ohio.
They probably do. All right, moving over to the hardwood. Oh,
We're still here.
That's weird. Anyway. Victor Wembanyama is on a historic rise. He's averaging like numbers that like not many people have averaged. Of players to average 25 points, 10 rebounds, and four blocks in an entire season, he's the fourth one to do it. He's joining Kareem, and I don't remember who the other two people were, but Wemby's top 3, and we had to plug his rise. Tell me what you think about the Spurs.
I mean, I don't know a whole ton about the NBA.
They're like middle of the pack right now. Wemby's carrying this team.
But I mean, they've got obviously one of the brightest futures there is out there.
Just because of him.
Yeah, I mean, you've got such an elite player at every phase on your team. I mean, your ceiling could not be higher.
They've got to surround him with some talent. Keeping it out west. The Pelicans. Under our caption here, I have the Pelicans suck. Why?
Well, there's it's a little problem stemming from Duke named Zion. And he can be described actually as anything but little. Fat fuck can't stay on the field. Stay on the court. I mean,
Zion's
a fucking shit.
Zion's eating a lot. Zion's not seeing a lot of action. The Pelicans also don't know how to run an NBA team.
No.
They traded for DeJounte Murray. That was it for them.
Yeah,
that was the move that was supposed to put them over the top. They're currently 5-29.
Yeah, well, it did. It did put them over the top. They're right in the lottery.
They're gonna get. They're
crushing it.
They're hunting for Cooper Flag.
They're smashing it.
The Pelicans are bad for.
Yes, give me another fat fucking Duke player on my team, please.
Cooper Flag's legit. Don't sleep on Cooper Flag.
All right, we'll just wait till he blows out his fucking shoes.
All right. Looking into a potential finals matchup, the Cavs are set to take on the Thunder again on Thursday, a rematch from last week. The NBA, excuse me, is just dying for ratings, so they bumped this matchup way up. The Cavs won the last one. Mm-hmm. It wasn't two-handed, but it was pretty handed. Donovan Mitchell played horrible. Everyone else played good. Do you think this could be a potential? Do you think this is the finals matchup? Do you think this is who we're going to get out of each conference?
I think they're the best team in each conference, which of course is it's pretty good a reason as any to think it as a finals match.
Both projected to go 72-10. I think they're both sustainable.
I think they are too. They totally are.
I'm like bought in on the Cavs. They lost to the Pacers the other night. They avenged that loss. They won tonight. They're a mile ahead in the Eastern Conference.
I mean,
they're both a mile ahead.
And sustainability wise, they've got the top tier talent and the depth.
They do.
There's not many weaknesses to poke.
No, there's definitely not. Taking a step into the rumor mill. Latest on Jimmy Butler, he got suspended.
Yes,
for 7 games.
We discussed this. Yeah.
He just wants out. I don't know. Miami might keep him. He has a player option for next year. I mean, we already touched on the teams that could get Jimmy, but what do you make out of suspending him for speaking out against the team? I think it was what is it? Like
conduct detrimental to team success.
I mean, look, how much can you shit on the team before they do something about it, man? I don't disagree with it. I mean, maybe it's a little too much. I mean, obviously,
just
but
get him out. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, it's like, why not suspend him if he's like fucking with the locker room? He's like, it's not like he's like going to stay with Miami by any stretch. I mean,
No,
it's not like you're hurting
he's
his
out.
feelings more by suspending him. I mean, I don't disagree with it.
my thing with Miami is just like he's not going to get more valuable. You know what I mean? He's got an ugly contract. Ugly contracts don't get attractive. And I'm just get him out. Stop. Let Jimmy be free. Send him to Phoenix or somewhere. Yeah. Phoenix could get him. All right. That was all. Wrapping it up now with our inaugural GOAT of the week.
Jesus.
My pick for inaugural GOAT of the week is none other than Detroit's own Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley, off the bench, scored 22 points, drained 6 of his 8 3-pointers, and was third on the Pistons in plus-minus in their decimating win over the New York Knicks. The Pistons are the real deal, thanks to my GOAT of the week pick, Malik Beasley. Now, Silas, for your GOAT of the week pick.
He was a former UCLA Bruin. He was a
DTR.
he was a former undrafted free agent.
Oh no. I don't even know.
For the Buffalo Bills, we have Alec Anderson. 6. He's the Bills. He's the Bills' 6th O-lineman. And they put him in there in these heavy sets, and he fucking mauls, man. He fucking mauls him, man. He gets after it. He fucking pancakes a guy, gives up, he shows his belly. Okay. He's the fucking man.
He's the truth.
And he is a superpower for the Bills' offensive line. In all seriousness, I mean this. He is the Dan Skipper in Buffalo, and he's better than Dan Skipper. They bring him in there, and he's such an elite run
gets
blocker.
After it, man.
And he
fired up just to hear about this guy.
And you should be. And you should be. And for all of these, he's got a lot of grit. He
brings his lunch pail to work in Buffalo,
and he's the fucking man. And so, for those reasons, Alec Anderson, number 70, is my GOAT of the week.
Shout out Alec Anderson. Man, that sounded
all right.
after our GOATs of the week, that'll do it. Thanks everyone for the unconditional support. And I would just like to give a special soundbite to my father. Got to shout out the 1979 Seattle Supersonics, who won arguably the greatest championship in NBA history. Shout out to some of their key players, Jack Sikma. I don't even know if he was on that team. DJ Dennis Johnson. My dad can probably fill us in on who else was on that team. Downtown Freddie Brown. Oh, we have one more GOAT of the week, folks. One more GOAT of the week. Special guest Miles is going to give us his GOAT of the week.
Hi, I'm Miles. I'm Silas's roommate. Here's an egg. Now, my GOAT of the week is not playing football right now. My GOAT of the week is in fact Antonio Brown. This week, Cam Newton went on the Special Forces TV show, and there was a clip of him jumping into a helicopter. And Antonio Brown tweeted, "All this and a blank can't jump on a fumble." And that is my GOAT of the week.